Hello, welcome back. My name is Spencer. This is the podcast. This is a space where I can actually massage out my ideas in a long format sense and really connect with people who want to go deeper, who are very curious about the conversations that I'm interested in. And yesterday I recorded my first ever episode. What's fun about this is that this whole impromptu podcast recording thing I've been doing, which by the way is happening in my voice notes app on my iPhone 12 in a car. So, that's the quality in case it feels a bit off. It's been very off the cuff, even though it's been on my mind to have something like a podcast for probably a couple of years now. And I mentioned in the first episode that I recorded yesterday, although this will all be posted when it's posted. I mentioned in the first episode that occasionally, not often enough to justify launching a podcast, but occasionally, definitely more than once or twice, maybe more than 3 times, someone has commented on my short form content through TikTok saying, Spencer, please make a podcast. I could listen to you for hours. And it's not enough. The quantity of that feedback hasn't been enough to justify launching a podcast, but I guess yesterday when I whipped out my voice notes thing and I really went into it, which if you haven't listened to that episode yet, it is longer. I'll try to keep this one slightly shorter. And this whole thing is just impromptu off my dome. And if you listen to the full episode, you would have heard that towards the end, I got more vulnerable, more personal. I break out and I get choked up with tears in a few little pockets. And I really liked that. And I was saying to my friend, Madison, actually, she's had me as a guest on her podcast several months ago. Madison, she's the host of her podcast called the Deep Talk Pod. I hope I'm naming that correctly, but of course I'll include this in whatever the show notes. She was someone who I reached out to and was saying like, hey girl, what's up? I just recorded my first ever podcast and I want to reach out to you because you're one of my only people who's like a role model in this space who I know personally. And she's so supportive and so cool and so excited. She's so willing to help. She really wants to be there for me, which I find to be great. And of course, one day I'll have Madison as my guest as well. And, she was asking how I feel about it, what I recorded yesterday and what will be the first episode. And I said, I feel really good about it because I recorded it without any awareness or research on what makes a podcast successful. Like if there's a way to play the algorithm and win the game of podcasting, the episode I recorded yesterday was so very me in the sense that it might flop, it might fail, but so be it, because it was such a beautiful or honest and raw capture of my inner world and how I deliberately curate my messaging for people who listen to me, who check out what I'm about. And so that's kind of why I'm now recording what can be my second episode right now. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. While also still being naive to the process, because I'll admit, I'm a little concerned. I'll admit, let's be vulnerable. As Gary Vee will say, document over create. In the creation of this podcast, I want to admit through the process that I'm concerned that when I start to look at the numbers or the game of winning in podcasting, not that that's a goal, but when I start to feel more like pandering to algorithms and making things work, I might lose the rawness that was so perfectly captured in what I recorded yesterday. And that's kind of why I'm recording number 2 right now, just basically 24 hours later, completely different subject matter, gonna keep it a little bit shorter and be more, give you more like takeaways, less indulging in my inner world. Well, we'll see where it goes. There's no script here. But just to do so that while I am capturing the rawness. And even if it's a flop in an algorithm type of way, so be it, because I'm concerned. I'm concerned when the game of it all influences the nature of how I communicate, because then it starts to get, it's not that I wouldn't steer away from authenticity, but it's sort of like when I create TikTok content, bro, do you think I want to talk so concisely for 3 minutes and like hit the perfect points of triggering your dopamine so that you'll please stay with me. Please stay with me for at least 30 seconds. Do you think I want to be so concerned by that? No, I don't. And it's very fortunate that things I say ever pop off on that algorithm because attention is so fleeting. And so I appreciate the chance to capture me, being me, speaking as I am, but also considering a listener at the same time while I am the version I am now before my mind is possibly polluted by the numbers game and playing into that game. It's not my goal to be a top podcaster, but it's definitely my goal to get my message out. So just in case, while I'm still naive, you are basically listening as an early adopter at this point. And so unlike yesterday, having sort of an off-the-cuff rant, yesterday I recorded the first ever episode, and in it I discussed things regarding suicidal ideation, not necessarily relating to me, but it got kind of dark and personal, and I really loved it, by the way. I loved having that chance. I'm not sure how it will be received, and whatever happens, happens. But today, what was on my mind is, hey, I would like to have the ideal of launching this podcast and this project before 2026. So around the time I'm recording, we're basically a month out of the year ending. And I'm thinking about New Year's resolutions, what it means to have resolve. And I'm not comfortable spreading messages in relation to things that I'm not consistently walking myself. I like that if I'm going to talk something, I want to be walking that talk. So most anything I've ever shared, it's because I feel some comfort and some skin in the game that I can run my mouth in some sense. And if you've ever heard me sort of speak with a bit of a preamble where I disqualify myself a little bit or disqualify my authority a little bit, it could be for a few reasons. It could be the imposter syndrome that's just flaring up. It's kind of pervasive in my life at times. Or it could just be that I have some perspective on establishing outcomes and results in life, but not enough confidence to really say, hey, listen to me, I'm walking this talk. And so I might say, hey, I would like to share my 2 cents on the matter. However, I'm not totally equipped to be qualified to speak on the matter entirely. And so take everything I'm saying like a grain. And in this episode, thinking about the new year, I'm thinking about my goals and where I've been. And in fact, I've shouted out one friend already. I love my friends. I love my friends so much. I'm so lucky. I've shouted out one friend, Madison. I'll shout out another friend, a very, very, very good, dear friend of mine, Martin. Martin, so badass. I can't even begin to, I can't wait to interview Martin, I cannot wait, because you guys don't know Martin. He's not like a public figure. He doesn't post content, but he's incredible. So I cannot wait to interview Martin. And in fact, in this very notes app that I'm recording this episode in right now, I have many, many recordings of me and Martin, but they were not recorded in the context of, hey, let's make a podcast. They were us, just like the real raw us having these real raw conversations that I just wanted to capture for my own record. But one day I would like to have a conversation with my friend Martin on this podcast for sure, because it's such a cool gift to be able to capture a conversation with two people who have excellent conversational chemistry and good perspectives, especially when paired together. So Martin is a friend of mine that he's from Argentina. And when I was hanging out with him in 2023, a couple years ago, he told me about this thing he does in his own world as it relates to evolution and, growing as a person. I'm not sure if he still does it, but at the time he said it's a SHO AHORA. SHO AHORA. So SHO AHORA, sorry, someone was just calling me. I had to ignore that. Note to self, podcast Spencer, please put yourself on Do Not Disturb when you're recording. it looks like my audio is still being captured, so I won't overthink it. The SHO AHORA is in Argentinian Spanish. It's actually, as a lot of people will be more familiar with, yo, I in Spanish. Me now is what it means, like yo ahora, but for him it's SHO AHORA. And he says it's basically what he'll do is he'll bust out his camera on his little phone, whatever, and he'll just speak to his camera in a vlog style just for himself. It's not for the nature of being published anywhere. It's the SHO AHORA. It's the me now. And if I remember correctly, I didn't consult with any notes before discussing this. It's focusing on telling yourself through the vlog what it is that you are now, who it is that you are now, like where you're at now. You sort of capture where you're at now, and through that you can identify the things that you're going to be working on. And so when Martin told me about this in 2023, I did record a SHO AHORA. If I were to go back on that, what would be so disappointing, but also real, just real talk. Otherwise, what's the point of having these conversations? Real talk. Let me own it all the way. I would probably find that the version of me towards 2023, it was the end of the year, so around this time, 2023 to the version of me now and towards the end of 2025 wouldn't have been too different from the SHO AHORA then, the me now as described then. And the goals and ideals I would have had on my mind, the things I'm going to work on, I don't think I've really made great strides in those areas. And there are many reasons for that. I don't want to make excuses for myself, but just to give context, I have some execution problems. I definitely can struggle with getting my head in the game and locking in. I can struggle with that. I can also be afflicted with issues of all or nothing. And that's super relevant when it comes to subjects around New Year's and resolutions. All or nothing, baby. The problem with all or nothing is the extremism of it. It's just giving it my all in such an extreme way that I'm almost bound to crash and burn, or I lose the spice or like the joie de vivre in the process. And then when it fails, I succumb to failure completely because it's all or nothing. If I'm going to succeed, I better be succeeding across the board. If I'm going to be a failure, I better fail across the board. Which I find interesting because as a person, I'm also pretty inclined to have nuanced thinking and to see a very vast spectrum of being a part of this reality and thinking and using our minds and our experiences. And yet, just my SHO AHORA, I guess this is an audio format of it, where I am now or where I have been, is I find myself tripping up over my own issues, my own limitations, my own, obsessions with how I think things should be done, like accomplishing a goal or engaging with a habit, how it should be done. How the habit tracker should look like, how I should be waking up every day, at what time I should be doing, or what, it's just a lot of shoulds, like I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But it's a question of is that correct? For instance, one that I was relating to my brother over a year ago was cleaning my room. So I've always, my entire life, always been much more inclined to have a bit of a disorganized space. Which is interesting because if you want to go, sorry to anyone who doesn't relate to these natures of speaking, but hey, it's the vastness, it's the spectrum of how I think. I consider many, many elements. You might not resonate with zodiac or astrology placements or whatever. I am, for anyone who's into it, I am a Pisces. So that's my sun sign. I'm a Pisces with a Leo moon, which maybe you can sense in my communication styles. And my ascendant, my rising sign is a Virgo. And I find it interesting because if I do entertain this lens of reality, I can see the Pisces, Leo, and Virgo everywhere, all around me, even in spaces such as my room. And especially because I find the room is a mirror. It's a reflection of me. And growing up all my life, up until now, again, I'm 30 years old, my bedroom or my apartment, because I've lived in different types of ways, I've lived where I've lived alone, having an entire apartment for myself to really spread out. But right now I'm living in a really unique situation with my best friends and their babies. So I live in a 5 person plus a dog household. and I love it, but I really am limited to a bedroom. It's not that my friends aren't like welcoming of me taking up and using the entire space. It's more just my comfort zone. Like, it's my room. That's the space that I'm going to make mine. And my bedroom has always been an artistic space. It's always been a somewhat creative and chaotic space. I do clean it, of course. I also have a history of having worked in 5-star housekeeping, in hotel, like 5-star hotel housekeeping. So when it comes to cleaning, let me be clear, I am classically trained in how to clean. Oh yes. Like, if not organizing my room, something I'll sometimes do is just move all my shit around and out of the way so that I could like scrub things, so I could dust things. So even when my room looks like it's a crazy person lives here, at least the dust has been removed, or like the floors are clean, like, it's not even a hoarding issue either. I'm pretty good at letting things go. I definitely can see in my past that I've had issues with really hoarding sentimental things. But when push comes to shove, I can let things go. I'm into the Marie Kondo method of sparking joy. I get it to an extent. So my room can sometimes be a little disorganized, or even when I clean it and I get everything really organized, very Virgo aligned, very, very systematic, even when I dial that process in, it just somehow can so quickly unravel. And best case scenario, which I've been doing a lot more lately, I mean, at the time of this recording, I've been staying at my girlfriend's place in Los Angeles, so I haven't really been concerned with it. But leading up to before I left for my trip, I really put so much work into myself and how I relate to my room and how my room serves me. And I actually got pretty organized, all things considered. And I'm impressed. But I would see like, damn, like I can just quickly mess this place up so easily. It's just it's natural to me. It's easy. It's effortless to just throw my things all about. And so the healthier habit that I've been engaging in is kind of like picking up after myself as I go, and not letting things collect for days and days. Because if I do that behavior of like unfurling the organization for 1 day, then 2 days, then 3 days, well, it doesn't take long before I'm just in a messy room, in an objectively messy room. And it's tough because then with my mind, it can be this slippery slope of, fuck, it's a feedback loop. My room is chaotic, and now I'm kind of stressed and avoidant. And so I rather just kind of stay in my bed and scroll and disassociate and not deal with it. And it becomes this cycle. And it's not great for a lot of reasons, because I don't think it's good for me. I feel degrees of shame around it too. So it's interesting living with other people, because I mean, I live with people who have seen me in some dark moments, and I've seen them in dark moments too. So there is vulnerability, of course. And it's a wonder that I've actually kind of adjusted myself to letting them even see my room when it's been the most chaotic and disorganized. And I'm really fortunate that I live with people who, even if maybe they have opinions, they might have opinions, in their mind, they don't say it to me in any way. And, like, I don't feel judged, which is good, because I'm really busy judging myself. So it's nice to not feel the weight of someone else judging me. But I do live with babies, my friends have babies. One of which is 11 months old. He'll be turning 1 at the beginning of 2026. Yay. And then the other, he is turning, just like me, he's a Pisces. He is turning 4 years old in March of 2026. And he's so funny because we have the 4-year-old and we have this connection where I try to keep him out of my room when it's messy, because he's he's not much of a toddler anymore, but he was for a little while there. So it's challenging having someone that age be in like a chaotic room. Like, hey man, I don't even know what's under that pile of clothes. You got to be careful in here. And he'll sometimes say to me, your room is messy. But sometimes, like lately, there was a time just 2 months ago where he came to my room. It was messy. It was objectively messy, I know. And he said to me, your room's clean. I was like, brother, thank you. You're so cute. But no, This is not a clean room. And it felt important to tell him that because I'm like, dude, I feed into your understanding of reality and I don't need to give you mixed messages. It's my responsibility as an adult in your world to equip you with the right tools in this world. And let's make no mistake about it. This is not a clean room. This is not a clean room. And I know it's like, Spencer, you've been talking about your bedroom for 15 minutes. I know it sounds insane, but I kind of subscribe to this quote of the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And I, as a leader, I'm really into leadership. Have been ever since I've been into social dynamics. As a leader and a leader in his young life and his brother, his brother's a baby, so he really doesn't know, but they're growing up near me in proximity to me. I recognized, damn, reality check. Like I really do set a standard for them. Like they really get to learn about how to live in this world through me, and me having this whole chaotic, messy room thing. I can do better. If not for myself, I can do better for them. Okay. So that reflection really got me to pick up my act, and I did a very thorough reorganization. It's not perfect. It's kind of hard to be perfectly Virgo aligned, organized when you have a mind like mine. There's always some degree of creative chaos, but it's when I'm in harmony with the Pisces, Leo, Virgo, it's organized chaos. And that's kind of where I've left my room, and that I'll be going back to in a couple of days when I go back home. And circling back to resolutions and resolve and all or nothing, I was speaking to my brother about this over a year ago. I can't. This was the situation over a year ago. I just can't with my bedroom. It stresses me out. My room's always a fucking mess is how it feels. Like I feel victimized. I feel victimized by myself. I can't believe it. And I explained to my brother, his mind works very different from mine. We are such different people in a practical sense. It's amazing. He's very organized. He's much more type A. He's on top of his shit. He's so aligned to his shit. It's insane. I have different strengths in my world compared to my brother. I think I'm a lot more sensitive than my brother. I'm a lot more tuned into that frequency. So it's interesting how we're different like that. And when I was explaining to him how I just feel so dysfunctional in relation to cleaning up my goddamn space, the space I live in that's supposed to be nurturing me, he was like, okay, well, Spencer, it sounds like you are, I'm paraphrasing, but it sounds like you're putting so much pressure on yourself to be so all or nothing, because I'm explaining to him how I find it exhausting to have to dedicate hours and hours or in what feels like an entire day to resolving the mess of my room and my space and all my things. I find it so fucking exhausting and it makes me not want to do it. The feedback loop is very negative. And then my brother suggested something that's going to sound so obvious to some people listening, but for some reason to me it was like, yeah, interesting. My brother said, how about instead you every day, with your messy ass room, every single day, you take a little bit of time to just do a little bit, like just pick up a little bit. And then each day you just do a little bit. And would you believe that it's taken me a whole fucking year? Yeah, I swear on this podcast, because it's my podcast. Yay, welcome. I'm still hyped. It's new. Thanks for being here. Can you just actually let go of the all or nothing? And can you believe, this is my point, can you believe it's taking me a whole fucking year to wrap my head around that? To wrap my head around this whole, you could just do a little bit each day. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be so extreme. Now, to get myself to that place where I was moving the plot forward, I kind of did have to set aside multiple hours to get through the chaos that I was feeling, and also my vision. It wasn't just that there was chaos. It was like, okay, there is something I want to establish in this room. Like it calls upon, it requires my intention. Like it feels so much deeper for me. It's not just a practical chore. It's like, it's making art and also a practical living space. And it did take me a few hours. It took a whole night. You know what's funny? It took me and my friend, who's my roommate, we shared some tequila. She hung out with me in my room on my bed while I was putzing about tasks, doing the like I was putting things in bins that I purchased from the dollar store. I was putting on labels. I was really leaning into the Virgo. I truly did lean on alcohol. I don't recommend that. I'm just being transparent. I truly did lean on alcohol, and then the body doubling of having my friend in my room, which I wouldn't normally do because I'm not, the whole organizing my room and stuff, I feel it to be a more intimate, personal activity. But hey, we made it into a tequila hangout moment while I did stuff, and she was my body double, and I got a lot done. And then after I got through that, by the way, I was pretty hungover the next day. I went a little too far, but I got so much done. Ended up drinking more alcohol because I was almost like celebrating my progress. I was so amazed. Like, finally I did it. I confronted it. And then thereafter, after everything, anytime I started to unfurl my room and make a bit of a mess, I would remember the seed my brother planted in my mind, some very practical feedback, like, Spencer, just quit the all or nothing. Just massage into it every day, get a little bit done. And he was saying that in response to cleaning the mess, as in, stop trying to set aside a whole day to fix the thing. Now I'm using his sage advice to simply maintain the situation and to let go of the perfectionism of how I think the process has to look like. And that's the thing with getting shit done. When I look at setting goals in terms of self-help and the betterment of self, I've found myself over the years getting kind of lost in my ideals of how I think a situation or experience has to look. I find myself, for instance, if you've ever seen the narrative of, like, set your alarm and wake up, no bullshit, wake up 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. like a fucking psychopath and get in a cold shower. That's it. Don't give in to the little whiny bitch voices. Get your ass in the cold fucking shower for set amount of time, minutes, whatever. Do the cold shower. After the cold shower, do the meditation, do the journaling. Okay, the reason why I'm saying it in this voice is not even to shit on that. Like, I don't mean to really shit on it, because honestly, I've had some good times waking up early and engaging in habits like a cold shower or a meditation, It can be super duper awesome. But I guess the reason why I'm saying it like that is because of the times in my life when I literally would engage in those habits, not because it was coming from a true place of an intention for what's in my best interest, aligned with my goals, but because it's sort of the narrative I would pick up in the echo chamber of self-help, or what sometimes the industry we call shelf help. Think of how many self-help books you have just sitting on a shelf unread. Maybe you don't. I do. I certainly do. Actually, I tend to just donate those books at a certain point. But anyways, it's the narrative of feeling like I need to adopt some set of behaviors or beliefs in order to be valid in the process of engaging in change or adopting new habits or resolving something within myself, resolutions. And I don't really believe that to be true. And in a sense, I could almost reframe or give myself a cop-out in relation to the SHO AHORA, yo ahora, me now, of how in 2023, when I recorded that as prescribed or suggested by my friend Martin, my great friend Martin, I haven't even really made extreme strides or changes in my life as I would have wanted for myself in the couple of years that have passed. It hasn't really happened. I haven't quite executed the way my ideal self would have wanted me to. And the way I'm reframing this, because I always want to find some sort of silver lining, the cope is, hey, Spencer, in a sense, what I got to give myself was a chance to live out a couple of years of being not completely, I got to give myself some credit, but almost entirely ineffective in moving the plots forward in my life to a point where I actually, I don't know if this is a real word, devolved. Okay, I went backwards to a point. I went backwards in a lot of ways, in a lot of aspects of my life and my habits. And what I'm finding is, and yet, I'm okay. That's the silver linings. Wow. Finances, kind of in the toilet right now for now. Health and fitness, in the toilet more now than almost ever before. There are like a lot of things that are just like This is not impressive. And again, that's kind of why I was saying earlier how I'll sometimes say like, you got to question authority, or I'll discredit myself and like really like kind of set my authority aside, because you should question, should you be taking advice from someone like me? And that's why I prefer to be transparent. And that's why I also prefer to almost like highlight my limitations, just so I can be fully, because you guys have some of you have no idea. I've been behind the scenes in the self-help industry. Oh, baby, I've been behind the scenes sharing rooms and meals with people who are the gurus, or have been the gurus. Maybe some of them now are has-beens, but I've been with people who were once upon a time thought to be gurus in self-help. And you'd be amazed. It can be so disappointing how behind the scenes, it's a bunch of bullshit. And I don't mean to make this a hater rant right now. That's not in my best interest, but it's just to illustrate the point that we must be very careful with who we take advice from, because you just kind of don't know. And I'm not saying be skeptical all the time. That's not the best energy to live in. It's just to be mindful that you don't always know. And something I even learned from my friend Martin, his philosophy of life that I almost envy is he's not a fan of anyone. He doesn't really put anyone on a pedestal. And when I interview him, I'll definitely get into that with him, because I find it to be an interesting way of living. I can't relate. I really get enamored by people. I really can pedestalize people. I really can do that. And what's painful about that is when you peel back the curtain, you see the truth and you become disillusioned. The disillusionment can be very painful, especially as it relates to role models and gurus. So I'm saying all this to say, should you be taking advice from me? Maybe not. I'm just kind of having an honest rant about where I'm at. I'm not like, if I could turn back the clock a few years ago when I was kind of in a prime of life in terms of optics, like in terms of success as seen on the outside, it would be laughable to imagine Spencer at 30 years old has just regressed. That's the word I should have been looking for. Regressed in a lot of ways. But in a lot of ways, no. Because while I've maybe regressed in outward optics, there's been it's the inner world, baby. I'm a Pisces, remember? It's the evolution of the inner world that has been taking place, where there has actually been a lot of resolution. There's been a lot of resolve around recognizing that, Spencer, when your ideals don't get realized in real life, and you regress, and you maybe are kind of like, you could argue objectively a loser. You're actually, having said all that, Spencer, you're actually also okay. It's kind of cool how okay it is. Kind of risky, slippery slope to be okay with a degree of complacency and accepting of like failure or whatever. It can be very risky territory. I don't want to promote a slippery slope of just letting it all go. When I'm recording this, saying all this, by the way, I'm just intending to be as vulnerable and real as I possibly can be. Well, also just, I want to reinforce, I am about my goals. I am about making strides in my life. Believe me, I am. This is not a submission. This is not an admission of defeat. By no means. In fact, I'm more so almost excited to have a chance to really capture the SHO AHORA, what a fucking loser I am capable of being in as it relates to my perspective, because I can't wait to listen back to this and be like, oh my God. Wow, yeah, it's true. There was that time when I was broke, coping a little bit, like, I'm overweight right now. Like, my muscles have definitely, I've definitely lost muscle mass in the last couple of years. I finally mastered cleaning my room after a night of tequila. Like, what the fuck? This is not the ideal. I'm aware. I know. But I sort of take comfort in the resolve around some urgency I felt, especially throughout my 20s. Feeling the urgency of like, I have to get it right. Oh, also the milestones. Again, because if I could turn back the clock a few years and then see into my future, like, Spencer, this is who you're going to be at 30. Girl, I couldn't. This is like, really? That's it? Why would that happen? I don't get it. But the reason why mid-20s me would think that is because it just wasn't the direction I was trending in. But even though my optics were a little bit better in a palatable, approved by society type of way in my mid-20s, my inner world wasn't. And it's almost like I had to go through a level of destruction to destroy all of the good optics, like the money, the social status, things that like the things that were going for me that I identified with strongly in my mid-20s. All of that got torn away at some point, usually by force against my will. All very long stories. We'll get into it in future podcast episodes. Just so that I could be without those things and recognize, well, here I am, and it's not great, but it's also not bad. It's okay. If this is like the worst, the best worst case scenario possible, this is pretty great. And from there I can build. From here I can build. And so that's why here I am, a month out from the year, thinking about my resolutions. So I mentioned, I'm going to do the little plug again. I mentioned in the first podcast, but at the very end of the episode, that if you go to my website, that's not yet live, but when I release this podcast, everything will be live. That's the goal. My website's socialdynamicsnerd.com. I intend to have, or I'm working on a resource for social skills and confidence. The working title as of now is The Shy Nerd's Guide to, I forget. It's on my docs. It's in my documents where I'm typing it out. Like confidence, social skills, whatever. And it's just going to be an all-around curation of developing self-esteem and confidence and seeing the social landscape and the lenses that have worked for me and the different paradigms that served me over the years. And I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just curating what has worked for me. And the intention for this resource is to be completely free and still absolutely overwhelming. Overwhelming. I'm all or nothing. Let's watch out here. Over delivering in value. The whole point is you should feel like you should feel like you should have paid. That's how you should feel. I don't want that for you because I like the chance to stunt on everyone else who is so obsessed with launching their offers. And I'm not against making money, not by a stretch. I support it entirely. But my goal is when it relates to sharing the tools of social skills and developing confidence and self-esteem that have helped me the most. When I was on that path, I mean, most of the time I was just consuming endless blogs or vlogs on YouTube and sifting through hours and hours and hours of free stuff and using my discerning mind to make sense of it all. And at times, maybe I'd buy a couple of books, I'd go to the bookstore and buy books from the self-help, the shelf help section, and I devour those books. And so that's like the extent of the money I would invest in the beginning, which is why I feel like for the sake of karma, it's my responsibility, my duty for my first ever release, my first ever groundbreaking, hitting the ground running offer, it's going to be very free or super duper affordable, cheaper than a book, because there's no reason to gatekeep. And as I said in the first episode I recorded at the end when I did discuss that you could go to my website, socialdynamicsnerd.com, and engage with this offer. There might be a second tier, a paid version, where it will not be priced higher than $12, just because it's a chance for me to make some income to paying for the hosting of the site. It's a chance to break even, but most of all, it's such a low stakes number that if someone is curious, I know it shouldn't break your bank account. Unless you've been like me in the last couple of years, maybe $12 could break the bank account, but I don't know. It wouldn't stop me from going into $12 of debt if it could help. And so the whole premise is it's a chance for the people who enjoy my content to vote with their dollars and support me. And in return, the $12 tier will provide an extra sprinkle of my perspective on social skills, probably specifically on dating and flirting. So the value, again, I intend to even over-deliver against the $12. Either way, if you go for the $0 or the $12, it's going to be win-win. And why I'm discussing this is because it's appropriate to plug. You got to plug an offer. Got to plug an offer. Got to play the game, right? But why I'm really discussing this is because I'm putting the expectation on myself that I can have this thing rolled out by the end of the year. To get it out of the way, I've been sitting on this project for the entire year. I started it earlier this year. I've been kind of revisiting it in moments of execution and really locking in and chipping away what my intentions are for it. Social skills, Shy Nerd's Guide, the Shy Nerd's Guide. once I get this out, my intention is that next year, 2026, when I'm making content, developing this podcast project, sharing my little hot takes on TikTok, I can have everything just funnel back to, if you want to know more or go deeper, click the link in my bio, like go to the offer and engage with it, because I'm going to give you what I consider to be the best of the best tools as it relates to social skills, curated really, really deliberately, like through my own filter and understanding of the world and what's worked for me. No guarantee things work for you, but the stakes are so low because it's either super duper free or super duper affordable. And you can just go look at that. I want that done so that in 2026, I can focus on the Spencer goals of evolving the plot of the SHO AHORA, me now, so that going into 2027, I could think, oh yeah, Spencer, you've actually made strides. You've made real metric-based strides in your life. Good job. Good for you. You're doing it. And I feel like when I find myself spread too thin because I'm biting off more than I can chew, I'm taking on so many different projects. I have so many different passions. There's so many things I care about. I find myself stunted, all or nothing. I find myself unable to execute on any one thing. And that's challenging because there's so much I want to do. And you know what? The clock's ticking. I don't want to fearmonger. I'm only 30. I believe that I hopefully have a whole life ahead of me. Hopefully. If I die tomorrow, it's okay. I'm genuinely happy with everything. But while I'm here, I really believe that there's more I can be doing with my voice. I really, really just want to participate in this world and connect with people in a way that I've found meaning in life. Like I want to help. So when I find myself confronted with the all or nothing, unable to execute paradigms that I often get stuck in, it sucks because it's sucking away my life purpose. It's truly like, what am I doing here? What's the point? I don't care enough to hang out here if I'm not serving a greater purpose. And often the things that I want to share in the world, often, not always, sometimes I'm just having fun, but often it is relating back to some greater purpose. So when I get to have my website launched, which it will be at the time of this listening and not at the time of this recording, but at the time you're listening to this, when it's launched, when I have a resource there, I can know, okay, that book is done. I might flare up with moments of inspiration, like, oh no, I have to add this. Like I need to expand the conversation. Like there's more I can do. I might feel those temptations, but next year, here are my goals, what I really want to work on. I need to get back in shape. I need to first of all, I need to for a few reasons. One, I've always felt best about myself and in line with my energy and just overall good and healthy, like in my mind, brain healthy, thoughtful, healthy, when I am actively moving my body to some sense, in some way. I've noticed that throughout my life, movement patterns have never come naturally to me, which is a hilarious and ironic thing to say as an able-bodied person, because like movement is kind of what we are, this is what people do. Like natural movement is just what we do. And I don't mean to sound ableist. I am overthinking this as I'm saying it. I just mean that like, it's kind of like what we do is we move in whatever ways that we can move. We move. It's what we are, as people. And again, to whatever extent you can move is what I mean. I don't want to be exclusionary in saying that. But it's never come naturally to me. Since I was a kid, I've always been artistic. I've always been possibly autistic and artistic. So I've always been very locked into one mode, and usually just with a pencil in my hand, in my left hand. I'm a left-handed person and I'm proud about that. Drawing pictures. And that's where I'm very comfortable. And so the shadow side of that habit is today, what could happen is I could find myself being very stagnant with a phone in my hand scrolling and not being really productive or moving any interesting plots forward. It would be much better if I would just be stagnant and making art. I would support that. But the shadow side is it's really easy to just get lost in a doom scroll and be stagnant in that sense. I don't naturally take to moving. And when I don't have momentum in a movement pattern, it's harder for me to break through back into the consistency. There was a time, especially throughout my 20s, I had a very regular gym habit where going to the gym didn't really require much debate or discipline. It was just kind of what I did. It was very normal and it was very assumed. And the more I would go to the gym, the more it would create this positive feedback loop of, damn, like I really own this space. I feel freaking good at the gym. I feel good at any gym. Put me in any gym, any city. I mean, I've only been to so many cities and countries around the world, but put me into any one of them. And it's like my situational confidence of just being in the gym. I fire the fuck up. I'm so fucking locked in. I'm so fucking alpha, if you will. Like I'm so strong. I'm so powerful. I'm so, it's so good. Now, is it everything I just said? Is it coming from present day me? Not so much. I just remember what it felt like because it was such a big part of my reality. And what I felt to be so empowering about going to the gym like that is that, again, like I said, it never ever really came naturally to me. I was not into sports. I'm like more fearful coded, you want to know something funny? I've never, ever, 30 years old. Maybe this should be on my 2026, my 2026 resolutions. I've never, used monkey bars before, and like kids, they use their hands to crawl across the monkey bars and hang and crawl. I've never done that ever, not even as a kid, and not even that I lack the strength. I might have. I never tried because I'd be afraid. I'm like fearful coded. Just give me the pencil, give me the papers, and leave me in a room. I'll happily just stay there for hours and hours and hours. That's always been true to me ever since I was quite literally a toddler. So the exploration of movement and physical expression is much more of a deliberate practice. And so knowing that like when I think I took it for granted in my 20s when I really had the habit dialed in. And then in the last couple of years of my 20s, I mean, things happened. I can make another episode one day about how I was hit by a car when I was 26, 27. I was hit by a car. It affected the way I walked for a while. Sometimes to this day, I have a knee problem. Though I must say I'm so lucky that I'm okay. Like I really am. All things considered, I'm okay. Thank goodness. And I just kind of got wrapped up in losing momentum on the relationship with my body and losing confidence in myself. And now I mean, here in LA, I don't have a gym membership, but when I was right before, like I was in Montreal, where I live in Montreal, Canada. Am I doxing myself? I hope not. When I was home, I would be going to the gym and making a habit of it. And I'm happy about that. Good. I don't want to feel all or nothing. I wasn't even going to the gym with a routine. Like I understand how to follow a program and do everything right. But I kind of feel like, Spencer, you know what? If what will get you to just go to the gym is just show up and approach the space in a more inspired way, like, oh, cool, lat pull down, like, ooh, rows, ooh, bench press. Like I look at the space and I'm like, yeah, that looks good. Cool. I'm not writing down my reps. I'm not writing down my sets. I'm not even making like a formula out of it. I'm like, girl, I'm not even there right now. I'm at the point where if I'm just going out and going to the gym, thank goodness. That's great. That's phase one. And from there, I'll let the momentum kind of unfold into wherever it's going to go. Like, okay, well, maybe I do want to follow a program. The more I start to see results in my life, like real, like, oh, damn, like, look at me. I'm getting more trim. I'm losing weight. I'm not promoting, I don't want to promote like a skinny culture thing here. I am objectively overweight. I am overweight right now. That's for sure. Don't let the angles on my TikTok deceive you. Don't be deceived. My body holds weight in the ways that it does, it'd be good. Like if I start to see like I'm more trim, or like I start to see what really inspires me is like strength improvements, strength gains. Like I love that. And that's the kind of feedback that will make me think like, okay, let's do a program. What am I working on? What are my actual fitness goals? Let's get a lot more clear about it. For now, I've been playing with like, no, reestablish the identity of going to the gym And from there, we can stack the habit of actually like having a very specific fitness goal. But even that, I like keeping it almost open-ended because I've had some of the same fitness goals, health and fitness goals for years. I've always wanted to be able to bust out like multiple pull-ups and chin-ups. In 2023, I was kind of there. I was able to knock out consecutive chin-ups. Chin-ups are easier than pull-ups, I find. So I would be able to knock out a few, and like that felt great. I'm like, damn, I'm finally rocking that goal. And it's like as soon as I have it, I took my foot off the gas pedal, and I just kind of lost the steam. And then I put on a lot of weight with, some difficult eating habits that I struggle with at times, like binging, I guess. I don't know. I guess I maybe should have put maybe I should have put a trigger warning. Again, I think I said this in my first episode. I'm not as mindful or educated on how to appropriately engage with content and trigger warnings. I'm pretty much just like someone who flies off my hip. Like I'm not someone who needs trigger warnings, and I know that that's a privilege, or I understand that's a privilege, and I think sometimes I can take that for granted. So I don't mean to like stir anyone's pot in a way that is upsetting right now. I'm just saying I have always, all my life, struggled with eating in a very reactive, comforting type of way. And you can imagine how all or nothing attitudes around diet culture can be difficult. And I'm not even too worried. I'm definitely, even in 2026, I'll probably be documenting in some type of way. My brand is not about health and fitness, so I'm not going to make it the forefront of any of my conversations, but I would love to be transparent of just what's going on and what's on my mind. Because in 2026, like, I don't even think I'll be counting calories, if I'm being honest. Like, I know how to count calories. I know how to use a food scale. I know how to do all that. I really think I just want to be kind of like soft girl about it all. Like, my objective is to be hard in the sense that I want nice, hard muscles. Are you kidding me? Like, I love feeling that way. It's so good. But I think in the way that I'm going to go about it is I just want to be a little more open and intuitive. Next year, that could change. 2027 might be a different tune. I might be like, no, bitch, I'm doing monkey bars every day. Every day I'm doing fucking monkey bars, and I'm eating only sardines and hitting whatever, like, perfect maintenance calories. And I'm going to track it all. Maybe. But I think going into this upcoming year with where I've kind of been resolve New Year's resolutions, where I've been resolving where I'm at and what I want to do in this world, and how, life didn't go always according to my thoughts and plans and ideals, and finding resolve around being okay with that. Like, okay, and what am I going to do? Dwell? Is it sad? I don't know. It can be disappointing at times, maybe. But again, what do? I don't want to dwell. I don't want to dwell. I gotta keep moving the plot forward. So I take a somewhat gentler approach, and I think I'm really excited, and that's why I'm actually being transparent about this. Like I feel awkward talking about this in a way, but I also feel inspired because I can just tell, I can feel it in my gut. Going into the new year is going to be great because I just want to get really serious about the things that help me. And I think that's why it's such an itch to get my social skills resource out and get my website live, and, like, have that be a point of, you can go to this, because I get frequently asked questions a lot from people in my comment sections. People want to know what books I recommend. Like, people have a lot of questions, and like, baby, I want to answer all of them all the time. And it can even be a bit reactive for me. I want to be there, and it's making me feel stuck. In a lot of ways, I feel like I can't move anything forward because I want to do everything. So I just want to have a one-stop everything, like a one-stop shop for just go here. Okay. Oh, you want to know what books I recommend? You want to know what I'm thinking? You want to know how I answer that? Just go here. Go to this website, socialdynamicsnerd.com. Go engage with that. And that's it. Now let me be, let me go. Let me be, let me go to my gym. Let me eat nutritious meals that make me feel good and make me feel loved and make me feel inspired. Let me like feel good in my body. Don't worry. None of you people are stopping me from doing these things. I'm aware, but I'm just thinking, like, I just want to almost not close the conversation. Definitely not close the conversation on Social Dynamics Nerd, but just sort of say, you can just go there. And if maybe, in the new year, I find myself maybe even posting on TikTok less, maybe I reel it back and maybe sort of change my communication style in that sense, everything's going to be okay, because you could just go to the website and look at that. It's like, hey guys, the last 10 years of my life, or even more really, I've been focused on upskilling, exposing myself to different skills and life experiences and people and different models and everything, winning, losing, failing, losing it all, like everything. I've gone through this whole journey in the last 10 plus years to a point where, okay, I just want to create one little destination where I can point everyone to that will sort of encapsulate my philosophies on everything up to this point. I obviously will always evolve conversations so that I can get more single focused and serious about taking care of myself, and way more selfish. And in a lot of ways, I can argue I've been selfish, even in me being a quote unquote loser in my efforts. I've been selfish in the sense that I've been a little too comfortable being complacent, thinking that, well, it's fine. It's my life. It's me. It's my life. These are my consequences. These are my outcomes. Mind your business, all of you. But it can be selfish because I'm not realizing my entire potential. I'm not actually pushing myself in line with the mission that I know is my, my purpose, what I'm here for. And even just the chance to lead by example, circling back to me living with the babies who are watching me. They watch me. I am a part of defining their reality. I've been selfish in the sense that I haven't been living with an intention of being a good leader in all the ways that I can be. The best leadership that I've engaged in the last couple of years has been this resolution of accepting, it's okay sometimes to fuck up and lose it all or have to start over. It's okay. That is the strongest leadership takeaway I have in the last couple of years, of not feeling like I'm really in line with my purpose and feeling like I've been selling myself short, is finding that it is okay. And yet, having said that, I'm not accepting the complacency. I'm just saying this little dip in the road, it's fine. I'm going to get out of it, and I'm going to keep persisting, because what else? That's all. Just what else? So it's cool to sort of feel that as I've turned 30, I've felt less urgency. Now, at the same time, I can recognize how there's a lot of urgency, because I do believe the clock is ticking at the same time. At the same time, I do believe the clock is freaking ticking and ticking away. In my perspective, in my experience, the older I've gotten, the more I've lived life, the more time is going by faster and faster. You have no idea. I can't believe it's the new year. It was the new year yesterday. And then it was the other new year the day before that. It's so wild. So, 2026, Happy New Year. Was this a practical takeaway podcast for you, the listener? I'm not sure. I think this is just me scratching into an opportunity to have a very, very cheap therapy session. Thank you for listening. I do intend to probably share more useful takeaways and tools. In fact, before I started recording this, I thought I was going to talk about, here are things that I suggest you could look into in 2026 if you're looking to reframe your year or engage in a pattern interrupt. And I was really coming in here thinking I would discuss Vipassana meditation. It's funny how it didn't even come up. Well, it didn't have the space. And so what I'm going to plug is Happy New Year to you. Sometimes going about our goals and resolutions can be chaotic and imperfect, and that is okay. You are loved. I love me. And so let that extend to you if you see yourself in me. Everything's going to be okay. We got this year locked the fuck down. It's all good, baby. I think in the next episode, I'm going to discuss Vipassana meditation along with maybe other useful tools for things you might consider engaging with this year to really change the plot. A suggestion, tools that I've engaged with that I think, damn, I wish more people knew about this. And, even though I've kind of clearly illustrated in this episode that I'm not the epitome of the person you might want to be goal-wise or results-wise. So you should really ask yourself, like, do I want to go to Vipassana meditation? Well, I've kind of talked about inner world in this episode. And I feel like the tools of meditation I've learned through Vipassana have really helped enrich my inner world and be more like comfortable with what is and what isn't. Or what could be. It just kind of is what it is, Do you know? I don't know. Stay tuned for the next episode because Vipassana meditation is such a cool tool. And that was my intention to talk about today. But instead, I just gave you my little TMI breakdown of, hey, if you look up to me, if you resonate with me, if you see me in any way as a role model or a case study, just know that I'm like a chaotic, complicated person. Pisces, Leo moon, Virgo rising. With a lot of, I exist with a lot of contradictions and a lot of nuance and a lot of all or nothing. And I have my struggles. I have my limitations. I sometimes don't want to do anything. I sometimes want to do everything. It's kind of wild. And all I'm focused on right now, early December 2025, is close out the project, socialdynamicsnerd.com, as in close out having that resource. I'm not done. Don't worry. I'm not done. I'm not even close. I'm hardly started. But close out having the one-stop resource for someone to just click to so that I can keep my mind focused on taking care of myself because I've missed out on that, guys. I've missed out. And I really, at 30 years old, I really don't want to take my health for granted because it's a lot easier to like be and feel healthy when I was younger. It's kind of just like where your body's at. It's natural. Well, you know what they say? After the age of 30, your body stops naturally producing collagen. All that shit, all that fear mongering. Yeah, I'm a little bit scared. So 2026, I'm locking in with health and fitness goals. And I'll probably even blog about it in some sense. I just want to be really careful about how I do because there's so many people in the fitness space and that's not my goal to be like a fitness person, but I do want to be a person who's like, hey, here I am. Here's what here are my struggles. Here are the things I've worked on. Here's how I like intuitively approach the process. Because 2026, I'm locking the fuck in, but also I think I'm going to be doing it in like a soft girl intuitive way because that's just kind of where I'm at. And I'm no longer aligned with denying where I'm at. The denial of where I'm at is kind of like in line with the systems of life of when I've like forced myself to wake up needlessly at 4:30 a.m. and do like cold showers and do these really extreme self-help type behaviors just cause. Because like if I don't, I'll hate myself. Nah, I'm good. I don't even hate myself right now. I don't hate myself right now. It's all good. I just want to like be the person that I am, create a safe space around conversations around being the people we are, and still get our goals, get after it, do the things that we want to do. So thank you so much for listening. I guess one last plug to my website that again, it's not even live. I'm really placing a bet on myself right now. Whew. If you want to see the bet actually realized, then you are in the time machine. It's you who can actually look at the thing. It doesn't even exist for me yet. Go to www.socialdynamicsnerd.com. And if you have any questions or comments after this episode, you can reach me on, I think, pretty much any social media channel. But if you really want to have more of like a space to write out your thoughts, email me. Spencer, SPENCER, Spencer at socialdynamicsnerd.com. Thank you so much for listening. Wow, we made it only just a little bit past an hour. So I really am breaking records here in my podcast career with nailing brevity. Thank you.